And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. The band administrator ensures the efficient financial management of the organization through economic development, grant applications, and policy development. The band administrator leads a multifaceted team of employees who are tasked with health and wellness, natural resources and referrals, land acquisitions, addition to reserves, fisheries, education, building maintenance, capital acquisition, cultural heritage, DRIPA, UNDRIP, TRC, housing development, and other specialty areas. We begin today's Open Connection with Velma Sutherland.
I am the band administrator here in Sigadach, Glenval Band. It means the bright lights behind the mountain, and that's the mountain when you just across the Kispelks Valley Road up there. That's the name of the mountain. I thought when I was a high school principal I was doing a lot, but you just kind of manage a whole lot of different departments. I moved out here from Quebec, 1989. To the Gitxsan territories, and worked as teacher and taught everything from K to university, and then was a principal and worked for First Nations Education Steering Committee. I've been a principal in a public school and an independent school, and there's certain grants you can apply for, but here, there's housing, there's public works, there's, we're a part of a tribal council, this nation, so then you've got to work through the tribal council, and then you've got the ISK piece, and I didn't even know what a BCR, Band Council Resolution, I was like, what's that? So slowly learning, and there was a big housing shortage, so we started by, getting, I wrote a big grant for Rapid Housing Initiative that we were successful, and that brought in, we have a 7-plex that has 6 2-bedroom units in a studio apartment, so that's a grant. We got a Section 95 one we applied for, 2 5-bedroom homes. We've gotten 3 tiny homes. We have a nice 4-plex now that's coming in. We just, anytime I see an opportunity, I write something. The other thing I learned about were consultants. These people are banging on your door all the time wanting to write the grants for you and get percentages, and a lot of bands do that. But I just was like, I learned as a principal how to write grants, so I've just been kind of writing them here. I realized here there's no school here, and so then I got an application in to do a adult ed center and also the farm school. So I got some grants through TriCore. I learned about all the different places. So TriCore, we got the initial funding, developed a relationship with Kwantlen Polytechnic University. I kind of looked around, and they were the easiest to work with, excellent. And so we've been working with them for 3 years, but the funding, like some programs, they'll only fund for a year. So then you have to go to another organization to find them to fund. And the Sigadach Farm School, well, when I started, that was council had that on the list. We want a garden this year. Because they've historically had a big gardens, but then the last about 10 years they'd struggled to maintain it. So then I was able to, we got the garden, pandemic, it was hard to find stuff, beg, borrow, steal potatoes, but we did get something planted the first year. And in the meantime I was able to get a farm school happening. Like a hybrid model where they had online classes with Kwantlen Polytechnic. And we just did them in the hall. The hall wasn't open because of the pandemic, so we did them in the hall. And the next year I got more funding, and so then we were able to hire 2 people kind of to help facilitate and work with the students. And some of the students got hired too to work as kind of education assistants. So they were working for Kwantlen Polytechnic University. And then this year I think we had 5 students that were hired and 1 facilitator. So it's been good. The first year, we just had the garden, and then we made a plan to get chickens, and so we've got the layer hens now, and so we did the chicken coop, and now, we have a free fridge, and we put the eggs in there, and it's a job for someone. They collect the eggs, look after the hens. We also had about almost 100 broiler chickens, and then they came and outside my window here, they learned how to butcher them and pack them up, and the community all got chickens. that were right from here, and they enjoyed learning the process. And we had 3 pigs last year, and so they learned how to butcher them and make sausage and different things. Well, we call it the community fridge, and just past it there's also a community cupboard. So we just put food there if people can come and just take what you need and share the rest. And in the cupboards there's different things, if we see stuff that, for Meals on Wheels that we've got too much of, or there's a little bit extra, or people bring stuff in.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. Reporting to and under the support and supervision provided by the band administrator, the senior financial officer is responsible for day-to-day management of the systems of the financial administration, including financial management, control, and reporting, while maintaining all First Nations financial investments and assets. They will ensure all decisions and actions meet the relevant legislation, policies, and procedures that govern the organization. Mary Jane Matlin joins the conversation with Velma Sutherland.
I want to say that our social assistance numbers have been cut in half. Our gardening is, when I first started, there was no more garden. Because there was no funding. And yeah, so I see food security is really huge here. And that's happening here. We have the best gardening soil probably in the whole Gitxsan Nation, and it wasn't being utilized, right? It was just growing burrs and weeds. So yeah, that's important. And I get to sleep at night. I love to tell the story about when I first started. I used to worry about making the payroll even, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. So it's good. Because you worry about, the assets that the band already has, and then are they covered? If something happened, how would that work? And I don't have that worry anymore, so that helps tremendously. Of course, now that's Velma's worry, but she has a different outlook on that sort of thing. So yeah, and I was born and raised in Gitxsan territory, so it's nice to see that people are using the land how it should be used. My grandpa and my uncles were trappers, and we are, although we're not Gitxsan, we were brought up to gather food. That was our lifestyle, right? And so it's nice to see the people here in Glenville relearning that skill, and Velma has the knowledge and the skill to teach and to let people fly, which, for me, I sort of think that fear might have kind of held me back a bit, but Velma just rolls right on, and I very much appreciate that. I think that's from your background of being a principal, right? Yeah, you've probably been that. And I was always, I worked in construction for lots of years, and then in accounting, so I'm not a people person. Velma has that push, that capacity, right? To say, go out there, try it. Let's see what happens. The outcome isn't always pretty, but that's but the times that it is are getting to be more and more. And I think that's how people learn from failure, right? And in a safe place to fail, right? You learn, you try it again differently. I've lived in this area all of my life, but I hadn't been in band administration before. But to my knowledge, it's like the continuity isn't there. People come in all excited about these programs that last 10 months, the last 18 months, and then the people go away and people are left to flounder. But here's Velma now in her 3rd year with an accredited school, which I know is huge. I know that she busted her butt and spent hours, working towards that. So for me, that makes my heart quite happy.
It's Gitxsan Child and Family Services are leasing the land, and it's for bringing the children back. And there's 3 townhouses that will be for families and, you know, maybe need support or to make sure they don't break up and split families apart. And then in the center is going to be the 6 foster care homes, and they'll have people living there. And then there's 6 apartments for youth aging out of care. So between the ages of, I believe, 17 and 28. Yeah, and so it'll be run by the Gitxsan Child and Family Services Society, and it'll create a lot of jobs within community. And it's a wonderful project. The architect who designed it, Patrick Stewart, he's a well-known Canadian architect who's our Nishka architect. And the way he explained to me, he went through a lot of foster homes himself. And he said he wanted where the kids are in the home, and it's the people that move.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. At its core, regenerative agriculture is farming and ranching in harmony with nature. Practitioners take a broader view of their role in the world, especially in the terms of soil and nutrient cycles. By contrast, the industrial agricultural system practices promote soil erosion at the rate of 10 to 100 times higher than soil formation. Let us return the conversation with Amanda Wesley.
I've been in farm school for the last 2 years. I am a Gitxsan carrier. My dad is Gitxsan, he's from this area, and my mom's carrier from Cheslada Band. We usually start at 9:30 when it's farm school. Everybody meets down at the classroom where you first met us, and we'll sit around there depending on whether it's a meeting day or just classroom time. Because meeting days will go down a bit earlier, and the people that were hired by KPU would go in just a bit earlier to plan the day, and then students would come in after, and then we just go to the garden and do whatever we had planned. The animals are a different part. There's a couple other people that are looking after that. That's Debbie Prevost and Dwight Sampson. Chickens? Yeah, we did have pigs, but I think those are in Southtown this time. So we just have laying hens, which are located down here, and then we have the broiler chickens that are in our classroom until they're big enough to get put out into the brooder, and then from the brooder to the cacklax. The eggs from our layers go into there every day, and then the fridge is there for like a community giveaway. If people have extra food or extra anything, they can go in there. A lot of times our vegetables will go in there once it's ready at the garden. We have some frozen rhubarb in there that was put in, and it's just open for community members who may fall short on things. We actually have a cupboard too, just not far from the fridge there, that has a bunch of food in there too, like cupboard stuff that if people need, they can grab. This whole port is starting to get opened up for more gardening, and we have hemp fields started. That's the first year for that, so I'm not sure how that will go. But we have our orchid, which is turning into a food forest, and we have all different kind of things that will go in there every year, and slowly it will get bigger and bigger to where you could almost go in and pick anything from in it and it would be edible.
He started, it was a dream of his, and the band got money, right? And he started carving it, but then sadly he passed away. And so you had different people.
Yeah, we left it alone for a long time.
And then it was just lying there, and then...
Yeah. He did mostly all the band,
the design. And then Dan Younks kind of helped bring it to a certain level, and then it just lay there.
Earl Moldo.
Earl, yeah.
Yeah, he did a little bit of that. Yeah.
And then they brought it back here, and then it just lay there for about 30 years.
30 years, wow.
And so then we got a local young boy from the community with a master carver, and they finished it up.
Oh, fantastic.
And when they had a totem raising
That young guy, yeah.
from the community.
What is he, 16 now?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah. he's
Ryan
excellent.
Lilly, he's lovely. And he'd connected with the artist, the master carver, because we had a bent box course, which Tony did. And he learned how to make the bent boxes as well. And so then he knew art, and so then they both, the elders, decided to get them to finish
that
up.
young lady, Dexter's wife,
Dora,
she was fast and good with
bent boxes.
bent boxes.
Through unit here around hydroponic gardening, microgreens. So that's the
Yeah,
two
that's
sea cans
true.
that just arrived.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a drive-through window. Hazelton's first drive-through, Tony, we got that.
Well, it's going to be good.
Yeah, so
I guess
that's,
it'll support the whole community with the greens,
yeah, the
and
microgreen.
it'll be too much.
Yeah, we'll sell some to the market and, yeah, no, so start, business. It'll be a good, it's great.
Housing, that's one of our big thing is the housing. When Velma came on board, like I said, 2.5 years ago, we did the sixplex. There's 2 5-bedrooms, the 3 single homes. Trying to get some of these young people out of the mom and dad's basement. And the 4-plex is coming up. That'll be a 4 or 5 bedrooms, right?
4 bedrooms, yeah.
Yeah. That's the main issue in a lot of these communities, that we don't have enough housing.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Kwantlen Polytech was founded as Kwantlen College in 1981 as a response to the growing need for expanded vocational training across the Fraser Valley. First of its kind, the farm school fuses sustainable agriculture and traditional Indigenous food systems as tools to build community and create dialogue around land stewardship for the future. In this final segment of Open Connection, Research Associate Michael Robinson.
I work for Kwantlen Polytechnic University. I'm a research associate in the Institute for Sustainable Food Systems. My work centers really around farmer education, especially new entrant farmers, and it really is a focus on kind of hands-on in-person education training. I kind of grew up around agriculture a little bit. My grandparents had a livestock farm with sheep, so kind of involved in that. My mom was involved in the plant nursery industry, always had gardens growing up, and then as I got a little older, kind of the environmental aspects of regenerative agriculture really spoke to me. For me, regenerative agriculture is kind of a step along the continuum with sustainable or sustainability. So if we're defining sustainability as kind of meeting the needs of the present without kind of reducing the future's potential for sustaining themselves, regenerative is almost like a step above that. It's kind of improving the environmental aspects of our agroecosystems to kind of lift up the future. So practices involved cover cropping, reduced uses of chemical fertilizers and pesticides and practices like that, as well as all the social parts around that, so building sustainable, resilient communities. Got involved in this community during the pandemic through some online training programs. I've been working with them for 3 years now. I do a lot of the online teaching and then come up here a couple times a year for in-person kind of intensive sessions. When you're teaching online, it's a collection of faces on screens, and coming into the space and engaging with the students kind of in their home territory and in their village, really a deep sense of meaning, reinforce that connection to the land and their connection to their community. The students really amazing. They, ask any of them, they're involved in this work and working really hard every day to provide for their community. So it's, that was really amazing and something I definitely carry with me. I have on my mom's side, I think there's 7 kids, so I have a large group of cousins and a big family, and that big sense of family and community was really present and welcoming. I had been working with them for a while now, so that was really great and felt welcome. Then contrast on the other side, just the kind of effects of colonialism and deep trauma that some of these communities have and this community does not exist in my own community. So that brings a lot of challenge to the work, a lot of emotional weight, and I think it's a really important part of it as well. Through and through, this program is really about building community capacity. So, the whole point isn't to have someone like a settler population like me come up and run a farm, right? It's really about educating the students, building up their confidence, their skill set, so they can then take on ownership of the farm, work on feeding their community, and go from there. So I feel like that's kind of the next set of steps, is transitioning out of a direct teaching role and more into a mentorship and guidance. As a Polytechnic University and a person with agricultural training, that's my expertise, is agricultural expertise. So moving more into a role of providing expertise, helping solve complex problems, but letting the management of the farm fall back into community hands. I think it's a really great model. We at the Institute for Sustainable Food Systems work with a lot of communities all around BC and country, and with aspirations of programs similar to this. So I think it's really important, and I think there's a lot of room for communities to take their food sovereignty into their own hands and work on their own community farms. Because I have a policy agriculture background, it was kind of baked into my education, but certainly coming up here and visiting, it's a little more different than reading in a textbook or a lecture, and confronting the kind of reality of it is different. The Kwantlen Polytechnic University, we have a really great agricultural training program. I work for the Institute for Sustainable Food Systems, which is more as a policy lab as well as direct kind of new entrant farmer training. And then we also have a bachelor's degree program. They have the Sustainable Agriculture program, and it's a degree program which I also took at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. So that's a really great way to get a bit more in-depth training in agriculture with more of the science background, the technical background. So looking up either of those programs, reaching out to us, we're always open for collaboration and having new students.
KPU Farm Schools program trains and support community members who are interested in regenerative and organic farming practices. We also offer farm business incubator program to support new entrant farmers to have access to land, mentorship, and resources. Through these grants, our students as well as our incubator farmers are able to provide emergency food to community members through their CSA boxes. CSA, or Community Support Agriculture, is a vegetable box subscription program that offers a good way to support our local farmers. This is because farmers get paid at the beginning of the season to buy farming supplies. Then consumers get a variety of fresh produce weekly throughout the season. In this way, we not only help families in need, but we also support our new farmers and lessen the pressure of trying to find markets for their products.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.